Let's bring in Marc Denis. I hope he saw that last night. Good morning, Marc.
Morning. I'm getting goosebumps listening to it this morning after watching it last night. So, yeah, that was a nice way to kick it off and all the way till the very end. What an overtime period, too. So, yeah, it was awesome.
Were you surprised at all at how good that was?
I don't know if I should be surprised. I like the fact that, there's just 2 high-sticking penalties are called. They were playing 5-on-5 hockey. You see when you unite some of the best players in the league that, the power play is going to be deadly, obviously. But, I like the speed. I liked everything about it. I like that Sweden made it a game after, 10 minutes. I didn't think it was going to be much of a game, to be honest with you. I mean, I knew better than to just call it in, but still, it was all Canada. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm glad I watched. And just happy to hear, John Cooper say this is the best building to come to, and Sidney Crosby to say how special it was, and the Swedish players just saying, just all the right things. I think in the right venue at the right time. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about Jordan Binnington.
Ooh.
What did you think?
All right, so I understand, when it's not a clear-cut situation, I understand going with veteran, Stanley Cup winner, more experience, gamer, absolutely. I like how active he is. He's not staying in his crease. I think he's helping out the communication and helping out his D. And that goes a long way. I don't think you can overlook that part. I didn't like the goals he gave up. The third one, absolutely, it's a nice tic-tac-toe there. There's definitely more than, I think the blame goes on Parayko for the icing. I think it goes on breakdowns in the defensive zone. He's flopping around, sure, but it's a nice play. But the other two, you'd like to see him, a little bit bigger. Loved the fact that he didn't get fazed by it and made the 2 stops he had to make in overtime. So, do you have better in Hill or Monty? Maybe. Do you have the time to figure it out? Probably not.
Right. That was my next question. It's like,
yeah.
well,
okay, sorry.
You made your bed. It's you made your bed.
Regardless, you can't really, because I I've kind of felt the same way you did. Like on 2 of the 3 goals, I kind of wish he would have made those saves. But at the same time, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to come back with Aiden Hill on Saturday against the Americans, and then what if he doesn't play well? Then what? Yeah. You're going to start Montembeault for Game 3?
Then you're in trouble. That's the thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Then you're in trouble if if he plays. You can. I don't know. It's just not clear cut. Let's put it that way. It's Gustafsson played well. Although they lost, they go back to him. To me, they go back to Gustafsson. He got you a point. He'll get you the win against the Finns. You got Connor Hellebuck. The situation is a little clearer for other teams. Not so much for them. But as I said, just because he's been there, he didn't get down. And he made the 2 saves he needed to make in overtime. Those are the ones you want your goalie to make when you have a star-studded team like Canada has, and like they've been able to show yesterday, right? So it was a fun overtime, as I said. Both goalies were really good, but he was able to have the last word, and that's I guess for this team, Canada, that's what you need. Right. So yeah, you probably stick with Binnington at this point, yeah.
George's been our guy, and there's that kid's got fire in the belly. He's a competitor, and we're really confident in him.
So what does that mean specifically to the goaltending position? Because in my head, I think I know what it means if we talk about a defenseman or a forward, but what makes him a better battler than Aiden Hill versus Sam Montembeault as far as John Cooper is concerned?
Yeah, I think it's just track record, to be honest with you there, Sean. The active part I just talked about, how good he is at – I guess we're going to call it managing the game. If you guys agree with that, like how he communicates, he's not overwhelmed by the situation. He communicates, and you could see it even in the first period. That he had a few touches, only 3 shots, and took forever to get his first one. But he had a few touches. He's talking to his D. I think he's directing traffic, and he's active outside of his crease. I think that goes a long way. Defensemen love that. I'm telling you, they love that when they're being informed, they're being talked to, and and they see a goalie playing the puck. I think he does it better than the other two. So that's one thing. And it's just because of the experience, because he's been I know he hasn't played on the international scene that much, won World Juniors, won World Championships, but he's been part of the NHL for a while. He's had that run when he came into the league. He's had his ups and downs, and kind of came back on the other side of it too. So I think that's what it is. To be honest with you, I don't think he battles harder than Hill or Montembeault would in this situation. I think he's just been through a little bit more, and it's not a bad approach when you're thinking of this goaltending situation and this quick tournament, for Team Canada.
Now it's picked up by Crosby. He's looking to see if he's got some help. Morrissey went to the bench. Crosby delayed and sets up Marner. Full stride into the zone. Mitch Marner scores! Mitch Marner! An overtime winner for Team Canada!
That goal, Mark, is the icing on the cake of what a night for Sidney Crosby. It starts with the behind-the-back pass to Nathan MacKinnon for the opening goal. He finds Mark Stone for the third goal. But that play on the 3-on-3 to drop the puck the way that he did and then circle back and just make it back across the blue line in time for Marner to come flying in there. He's sitting on the bench by the time Marner scores that goal. He's gone off for a line change, but you talked to me about Sidney Crosby's night last night from your point of view.
Well, that was the less impressive of his 3 assists. That's all you need to know.
Really? Yeah.
No, they were all spectacular. That's hockey IQ to the max. Like to think about doing this, and obviously there's lots of room, and we saw players on both sides. Puck possession, and the crowd, I could feel it through my TV set. The crowd understood their assignment, but they understood that puck possession was going to be good when you have that much talent on the ice at the same time. And it's just a very, very smart play, and good on Marner for that shot. It's everything was spot on. Everything was spot on as far as Crosby is concerned. How much more can you say?
Il y a 37 ans, mon gars.
Il y a 37 ans. A month ago, they lose to Tampa. He tells Coop to go and get points Cirelli and Hagel because he wants to talk to them. If that's not leadership, I don't know what is. He shows up to Montreal early to make sure he's there to skate and to show everybody that he's ready for this tournament. And then he looks to the benches on the right before making that backhand pass and hurrying to be onside. It's to cap it off. But everything was, it was awesome. It was the perfect night for him, and the way he leads a bunch of leaders tells you everything you need to know if you didn't already about Sidney Crosby. So tremendous, deserving player of the game, deserving the chance, and absolutely.
Tell 8 or 10-year-old Mitch that he scored an overtime goal assisted by Sidney Crosby, the guy he looked up to since day one. It's pretty crazy, and I'm sure my family's going to be very excited about that one. And
that's Mitch Marner on scoring an overtime goal for Canada, assisted by Sidney Crosby, the guy he's been looking up to since day one.
Yeah,
right? The guy that he grew up cheering for. It's just I don't know. I just if you guys we're fans. I mean, Mark, you've worn the maple leaf on your chest
at the highest levels,
and
it's awesome.
Yeah. But it's just it was wasn't it amazing to be reminded about what international hockey can sort of feel like. And this isn't even the Olympics. I realize, maybe I am getting too excited about it. I just felt like I felt things yesterday that I just haven't felt for so long. I was reminded of what it can feel like to feel that national pride. I'm curious for what that's like for somebody who's worn the maple leaf on their chest.
Yeah, and listen, I got the chance in 2006 to be the starting goalie for Sidney Crosby, a 19-year-old Sidney Crosby coming over to Riga, Latvia to play for Team Canada. So, it brings back memories, there's no doubt. We are reminded of this international window. And I don't think you're too excited because I'm going to put things into perspective. This is probably, for this being a made-up event with no Russia for the reasons that we all know, no Czechia who are world champs, You know, the best example is that Matin Palo had to be called by Finland, and he probably would have been in the AHL if it wasn't for the Four Nations Faceoff, meaning it's an NHL built event, meaning that the Olympics and the next World Cup of hockey, and you know, if you get the IIHF backing, and these are going to be tremendous best on best events, and best on best should happen. It doesn't need to be there. You know, the World Championships is there to be an annual thing, and you know, fine. And you know, I've answered the bell. A lot of players have answered the bell. Most of them that are there have at least played in one. But to have the best on best is just another level. It's there you go. And it's been stripped from us for a few years now, and some of these players that was the first opportunity since the World Juniors where they're playing best on best of their age group. Now they're playing best on best in the world. That's, you know, there's no substitute. There's no other way to, you know, around it. And for the, you know, as I said, it shows to the magnitude of what it means to represent your country and to say yes when they're calling. When Sidney Crosby goes at, you know, 37 years old, goes out of his way to do all of this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How much coaching does John Cooper do in a tournament like this? Yeah. I'm curious because, you know, Crosby was talking about somebody on our line's got to shoot, boys. So somebody shoot the puck. Is it MSL approach? Like let the guys figure it out? How does that work?
You need to make sure everybody's on the same page, right? As talented as they are, you still need structure in hockey because the actions of one player, especially on the forecheck, will have repercussions in your D zone or in the rushes you're accepting if you're not in tune. So that's all it is. It's to make sure that you have a plan and is executed by everyone. Everyone understands it. As far as you said, you know, on the power play, those 5 guys, I mean, it took 12 seconds. Do you really need to coach that power play? They have, you know, you put one of your assistant coaches to make sure he talks to them every day to make sure everybody's on the same page. There's not going to be much video here at the show because it was 12 seconds of power play and only one power play on the other side. But, you know, you make sure that you're on the same page. I think that's what it is more than anything else. You don't need to. There's no need for rah-rah. That's, you know, John Cooper, and you know what? You don't need rah-rah, but you have Mario Lemieux coming in and, you know, calling the starting lineup. That's the coaching you do. That's the managing you do, right? And you have great hockey minds that are around you, and DeBoer and Tocchet and so on and so forth. So you just you rely on the staff, you rely on the players that are there, and you make sure that everybody's on the same page. And there may be, I mean, you still lost a point yesterday technically in this format, so. You make sure if there's adversity or if a player in this, I don't know that, but let's say a player in this game yesterday, let's say Konechny's really down because he's -2, right? Well, you make sure you're talking to him this morning and saying, listen, it was only 10 minutes. It could be 15 minutes here next game. We'll need you. It's fine. It's okay. We won the game. It's okay. It's not, you know, they're not, you know, Brad Marchand didn't play just 11 minutes because he's no good. It's just because you have Nathan McKinnon. It's because you have Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby. That's why. And that's more, I guess it's more making sure everybody's on board than coaching, actually, Sean, in these types of events.
Marc, thanks for everything. We appreciate it, and we'll check in with you next week.
Yeah. Are you guys going to watch USA Finland too?
No,
I'm serious.
Yeah, I asked Connor that this morning.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if I'll be like yesterday where I got caught and I ended up watching the whole thing from start to finish, but you know, I'll definitely. You know, it's going to be PVR'd, and you know what? If I'm there and catches my attention, absolutely. I didn't think I would say that before the event. I'm being honest.
I feel the
same.
You're
the best.
I feel the same way.
Go Canada, go!
It's not about
Let's
me.
go.
It's not about me. It's about what
you
know. Kudos to the NHL and the players that are there.
Thank you,
Kudos
Marc.
to them. Okay, cheers.